everyone, Simsy Claire here and welcome back to my channel. So for today's video, we are back in Oasis Springs. Now this is my first time back here since the first ever speed build on my channel. So I thought it would be kind of cool to bring it back home basically because this is where I started. But the inspiration from this house came a little bit from the Jungle Adventure Pack, but also I've been watching this show called Behind the Gates, and a lot of the homes in there are different Spanish villas in California. So I've been seeing a lot of different Spanish villas around, and I really wanted to kind of take my, make my own version of it basically. And so this is a little bit more of a modern take on a Spanish villa. So I hope you all enjoy. I actually really like how this house turned out. I do a couple of different things with like cutting out pieces of walls and some half roof features that I don't usually do, so I'm really excited to share this with you guys. Now this is going to be a two-part video. This one is just the exterior. It is rather short. It's only 14 and a half minutes, I believe, which is kind of nice for me because I worked a lot this week, so I didn't have a lot of time to work on the video, which is why I did split it into two parts. I'm not gonna lie, it was definitely because I needed more time to do the inside, because as of the point that I'm doing this voiceover, I have not furnished this house yet. So I'm gonna do that right after I do this voiceover, but you will see in the screenshots, there's going to be pictures that have pieces of furniture like in them, like you can see the furniture, and that's because it took me so long to do the floor planning because this is such a big house and I had no idea what rooms to put in this. But as I was doing the floor planning, I was putting different pieces of furniture inside the rooms so I could remember what rooms I already had, because I was definitely distracted while doing this. I was watching Criminal Minds, so I was like half paying attention to the floor planning, half not paying attention to the floor planning, paying attention to whatever psychopath was on the screen at the time. So I wanted to make sure I could remember what I was doing. But I really end up liking how the floor planning turns out. I end up giving them, because my idea for this house was that one of the parents was a jungle explorer and the other one was an archaeologist, and they kind of fell in love while they were on a dig one day. So I do give them a archaeology room. So they have a study where they do the archaeology work, and then they have one where all the treasures from the jungle are. So I'm really excited about that room. It is kind of small, but there isn't a lot of treasure. I shouldn't say that. So when you get the pack, there's a whole bunch of treasure that you can find, but a lot of it are repeats of each other. So there's like 6 different versions of the gold calendar plate, and there's like 5 different versions of the gold frog. So it's not that there isn't a lot, it's just there isn't a lot of variation basically. It's just like 6 different versions of the same item. So I figured I'd have at least one of each and then fill up the space with some other like miscellaneous decorations that we got from the Jungle Adventure Pack and from the base game update as well, the Caribbean update. That pack, or the Caribbean like stuff pack basically that we got with a base game update, works really well with the Jungle Adventure stuff. So I'm definitely going to be incorporating that as well with this. But right now I'm picking out the windows. So I start with these eco lifestyle windows, and I basically keep these around the entire downstairs of the house just to keep the downstairs more open and airy and light and make it feel like the outside is coming into the inside, because I definitely figured this family would love being outside. I mean, the kids were raised by a jungle explorer and a archaeologist, so that kind of just fits with the whole story. But once we get upstairs, I kind of close it off a little bit because that's where the family lives. That's where they have their private area, so where all their bedrooms are upstairs. So I end up I changed the windows out on that little conservatory area over to the left, and I use the Moschino ones, so they're kind of more, you know, a little bit more closed. They have the panels and everything instead of it just being straight open windows. And then here I am adding some gray accents. Now it definitely looks more green in this lighting, which I don't think hinders the effect. I actually think it looks kind of good as a dark green, but I think it is supposed to be gray. At least in my mind, that swatch looks more gray in the like menu for the build and buy catalog. But anyway, so here you can see I am switching out those windows right now and I also figured this way they could keep the windows like closed a little bit, but then they could also open them, because those eco lifestyle windows do not look like they have any way that they could ever open. So I figured this way, if they wanted some fresh air to like air out the upstairs of their house, they could open those up. if they had guests or anything, because I do kind of plan on turning that room into a little bit of an entertainment area, because their collection room for all of their adventure items, like the stuff they collect from the jungle, is going to be almost right next door to it. So I figured that that would be a good place where if they ever had like a party, like for their discoveries or anything like that, for their archaeological finds, they could have it in there right next to where the discovery room is. So as I said, I did place 2 different windows between the top and the bottom, and I actually use a whole bunch of different windows. So I use these from Get Together, the Moschino ones, the Eco Lifestyle ones on the bottom, and then I also use a couple of different base game windows for the smaller portions of the house. You saw me use those porthole windows, and then I take a couple of shorter ones and place them on those pillars that I have. You can see me do it right here. And then I throw a couple of windows around the bottom area of this piece right here, and then I take a break because I want to place a wall exterior trim, but you can only do that if you have an upper level. So right here I'm trying to figure out how to get a wall-less upper level onto this section of the roof. I'm not trying to figure out, I know how to do it, but at the time the walls are being really tricky, and it kept trying to like extend the walls from the other part of the house, which obviously I did not want to happen. But you saw right there, I ended up figuring it out. And I think this just makes it a little bit more cohesive, and it also adds a little bit more texture to the house. I've been trying to add more texture to my builds because looking back on a lot of my different builds, they're very basic. Like the only exterior decorations that they have are windows. So I'm trying to fix that, trying to make them look a little bit more adventurous. And so I thought that this house was kind of getting there. I have a lot of different pillars and some different half wall features combined with the roofs, and then also these exterior wall trims. So I definitely think that this house was getting a little bit closer to how I wanted to do things, as well as with the pops of the different gray that I'm using. I think that it definitely fits just a little bit better. But here I'm starting to work on the outside. I did add a little bit of that gray just to make the house a little bit more cohesive. I wasn't sure where I was going to put the gray at first, but then when I realized I had that half wall there, I thought that that was the best spot for it. And then I'm placing a couple more of the Eco Lifestyle windows, and I decided to make that little area over there a little like side porch. It is right off of the parents' bedroom, so I figured that they would maybe go out there to read before bed or maybe do some yoga. I haven't quite decided yet. As I said, I haven't furnished this house yet, but I'm starting on the exterior with some different lights. Now I do keep these lights, but I end up moving them around a little bit just to fit. Like I move the mailbox right up to the house, and I do place a couple of wall decorations on. You'll see them in the pictures. But right now I'm doing all of the terrain paint to figure out where the landscaping is going to go. And I did decide to do landscaping all around this house instead of trying to break it up. I figured since they are jungle explorers and jungle adventurers and archaeologists, they would have a whole bunch of different plants and wildlife, and basically I'd like their house to be a little overgrown. So I was kind of trying to play off of that idea. And then I did want them to have a pool, so I do give them a pool back here. It's a rather large pool and a rather small patio, but I have big plans for this patio. So I actually have a house. It's nowhere near my neighborhood. It's kind of closer to where my mom lives. It's about 15 minutes away, and it looks almost exactly like this. It's not as modern though. It's definitely more of a traditional Spanish villa, but their backyard has this outdoor kitchen that is gorgeous, and you can see it when you come around the corner, and it's just like tucked away like underneath this like canopy. So I kind of have this idea that I'm going to do a huge outdoor kitchen out here right by the pool, just for a little bit more of an entertaining space. But right now I'm working on the path to the greenhouse. So I did figure, since one of these parents was an archaeologist and a jungle explorer, they would definitely have a bit of a gardening skill, because you do need the gardening skill when you explore El Salvadorada. So I wanted to give them a greenhouse. I thought maybe the jungle explorer, they wanted to kind of try and preserve the plant life in El Salvadorada. So they created a greenhouse, and they were going to grow all of the different exotic plants, because there is a couple that we got with Jungle Adventure. We got avocado trees. We got a couple of different like feeling trees. I don't really, that's such a weird way to put them, but they give you like different emotion trees. That's what they are. They give you different feelings. They give you different emotions. And it's basically like the the type of berry that you get is the emotion. So I was thinking about putting a couple of those in here, and then also a plantain tree. We didn't get those with the Jungle Adventure pack, but I definitely feel like that would fit. And then here I'm just placing a little staircase up to here, and then I'm going to line the entire little greenhouse with windows just so it stays airy and it has all the natural light in it to grow the plants. That's what I was thinking of. It's been a long day. And then I'm placing a little corner patch over there of some terrain paint just so I can do a little bit of landscaping. I do not do the landscaping over there as I do the ones around the rest of the house, and that's because it's right near a patch of natural landscaping from the Oasis Springs world surrounding this lot. So I decided I end up just placing a whole bunch of debug plants over there that match the lot or match the little cluster of plants that they have already growing naturally, like in Oasis Springs. That way it kind of looked as though that corner of the lot hadn't quite been explored, it hadn't quite been developed. So they decided since they weren't going to develop that part of the lot, the natural plants could kind of just like keep like over there, like stay over there. And I thought it kind of looked nice as a contrast between the red and oranges I end up using on this house compared to the natural colors of the world, because they're definitely more whites and pinks and yellows. So I thought that was a neat idea. But going into the landscaping, it is very basic. I basically just used the island living plants mixed with these base game floor plants that I always use, and then just kind of shove them all together and make it look nice, basically. And over here I start to do like a little plant corner, but I do decide to do a water feature. This is right by the back door where the laundry room and the mudroom is, so I figured that the kids, when they were coming home from school, maybe they came and sat, and I don't know, threw like pennies in the pond, you know, as a wishing fountain, or while they were doing laundry, they watched the pond water. I thought that was kind of a neat idea. And then here's where I start to kind of figure out what I want to do. So when I started this landscaping, I had no idea what I was doing. I was already kind of lost in the TV show that I was watching, but I wanted to finish what I was doing before lunch, so I was trying to figure out the best way to fill in the space but keep it cohesive with the style of the house. So I decided, as I said, I stick with these island living plants, and I think it ends up looking really nice. Like, it's definitely a little cluttered, it's a little messy, but I think it ends up working because it's almost as if they brought some plants back with them and planted them in their yard and then just kind of let them wreak havoc in their yard. I don't know what it is, but these Jungle Adventure plants are my favorite. I do really like them, and they work so well with the reds and the oranges in this build. But that is the end of this video. The next part of this, the interior, will be up on Wednesday, so I hope you all enjoyed this part and you stick around for the next one. And as always, if you have any comments or suggestions, please let me know down below. Leave a like and be sure to subscribe to my channel, and I will see you all next time. Bye!